Starting up. All right, ladies, we are live. Peace and black power to everyone who is watching. My name is Dr. Oya Mayat, and I'm here with a panel of sisters to discuss a great topic today. But hold up, before I begin, remember, ladies, it's tea time.
Yes.
It is tea time. So it's tea time with the sisterhood. Please join us every Wednesday from 1 to 2 p.m. to discuss various topics. Today we were getting started a little late. It was our first time. We welcome other sisters to join us. I will be posting links on my Facebook on my Facebook page. You have Sister Riziki, Sister Kia, Sister Kaba. Each and every Wednesday we'll be posting the links. So other sisters, if you want to join the panel to get in on the discussion, please feel free. So it's tea time with the sisterhood. But before we begin, we always open up with acknowledging our ancestors. So I would like to say all praises to our ancestors. I ask that during this discussion that they give us the knowledge and wisdom. I hope that they grant us the knowledge and wisdom of Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, the warrior spirit of Harriet Tubman, Yaa Satiwa, and Queen Nzinga. And I hope that they allow us to walk in truth, justice, harmony, and balance. Mayat. So now that we've done that, we gave dua, thanks to the ancestors. I would like to open the panel up for all of the sisters to introduce themselves. Again, my name is Dr. Oya Mayat. I am the co-founder and president of edanimeproductions.com. And I have 3 warrior sisters here on this panel with me today. So one by one, sisters, could you please introduce yourselves?
Peace and love, family. This is Sister Kaba Nepti Ankh. I am honored to be here amongst a panel of wonderful sisters who definitely are in their own right making great strides in changing the way that we see ourselves, the way that we show love for ourselves and for those around us, but mostly for ourselves, because what we're finding is our sisters are not really loving ourselves. We're not accepting who we are. We don't care. We're teaching this to our daughters. We're walking around emulating others, and our children are also in our midst, and they see these things, and because they see these things, they feel to believe that this is what it is. And so this is the lessons that we're teaching our children. So it is imperative that we begin to show love for ourselves. We're supposed to love who we are, ourselves, our skin, our hair, the things about ourselves that we were taught to hate. These are the things we're supposed to be loving right now. So this is Sister Kaba Nepti Ankh. I'm a part of the Parnetcha Research Institute Linguistics Unit. We're definitely trying to get the languages together, dealing with linguistics, dealing with African traditional culture. I'm also really big on holistic health. I think that sisters are neglecting themselves by not eating to live. We're actually eating to die, and we're killing our children because we're feeding them the things that we're eating that's killing us. It's important. It is very important that we start to look at these things and change the scope, because the scope, if not, then the scope is going to have us. We'll be in it, and we'll be right at the end of that barrel. We're killing ourselves. And so self-love is going to be the topic here today, and it is important that I encourage all sisters to come and build on this, because we're dealing with some things. The sisters are not taking care of their wounds. I mean, we're funding the medical industry, but yet and still we're giving them everything they need, but we have to beg for assistances in the medical field. So it's important that we begin to love ourselves, and we'll get more into that, but we'll go on to the next sister. Peace and love, family.
Peace, peace, peace. Sister Riziki. Sister Riziki.
Oh, okay. Well, peace and love, everyone. I am Sister Riziki Zafira. I am CEO and co-founder of Nature's Crown International. I also read star charts, ancient science, if you will, or thing, I should say, many of our ancestors used. And I also am a Tantra Reiki practitioner. And as far as my avenue or angle of self-love, definitely comes with, you know, activating the many talents and skills that are already lying dormant in us, and, you know, bringing those things online so that we can function better as women, so that in turn we are better for our relationships with our other sisters and our men and our family as a whole. So again, Raziki Zafira, peace and love, family.
Peace and love. Sister Kia.
Peace, greetings. My name is Kia, aka Wakesho. I am the second half of Nature's Crown International. Sister Raziki is my best friend of 13 years.
Yeah.
A lot of the growth, and this is wonderful because we can really discuss, you know, loving ourselves with actual relationships with other females.
Right.
And like I say, Sister Raziki being my best friend of 13 years, we certainly have had our trials and tribulations and our stories to share with you ladies about self-love and just loving each other. I'm currently in Europe right now. I'm a government contractor, and I've invested in a couple of international businesses that have afforded me to travel the world and run into other sisters and other men of different cultures. And I've just been able to, you know, learn on this journey of self-love and loving everyone. So I'm appreciative that I have joined the conversation. I'm excited.
We are excited to have you. Sister Raziki, she speaks highly of you. And she's and that's Sister Raziki, this is the sister you wanted me to meet a long time ago, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You know, so it happened when the ancestors, you know, said it was going to happen. And so we met today, and I appreciate you taking time out of, all of you, taking time out of your schedules, you know, to, you know, collaborate, you know, on this, to join in on this talk. Sister Kaba gave the talk away. I was going to go in. Y'all started talking about the topic.
I didn't do it, Sister. I didn't do it, Sister Dr. Vine.
Kaba already revealed what the topic was going to be today, but yes, the topic is going to be self-love. And it all starts, I remember when I was younger, you know, you would hear, you know, elders say stuff like love conquers all, or, you know, they would stress, you know, just love. And you know, love is at the root of all things. And we as women, we have to learn to love ourselves. And you have a lot of sisters who, you know, you would think that they love themselves. You know, they, you know, I call that pseudo love, but you would think that they love themselves, but they really don't. They're really insecure little girls. And you can tell, you know, by their actions, and you can tell by their mentality. You know, so I'm not talking about that pseudo love, you know, when you look in the mirror and you put your hair on and your makeup on. I'm not talking about that sort of love. I'm talking about a genuine love for self. And I believe that we as women, that we must love ourselves, because, you know, how can you properly love your children and love your men, love your friends, love anybody else if you don't love yourself? So it starts with self. It starts with self first. And so when I talk about loving self, I'm not talking about a narcissistic love. I'm not talking about a pseudo love. I'm talking about a genuine love for yourself. Because if you love yourself, then you again will embrace your beauty as a woman. If you love yourself, you will embrace your beauty. You will love your hair. You will love the skin that you are in. You will love your physical features. You know, you will love your body shape. You will love yourself. You will protect your womb. You will have standards for yourself if you truly love yourself. So today's topic, I know that is going to be extremely powerful. Sister Kaba read a passage to me yesterday, because we were actually going to have this show yesterday, but my energy was off due to a few things, and I didn't want to have the show. Like when I give these shows, do talks, you know, I want to be in it 100%. I don't want to kind of be in it and then my mind is somewhere else. You know, I want to give it my all. And so yesterday, you know, my energy was off. I was all over the place mentally. So I don't think I could have given this topic the attention that was necessary. So I rescheduled today. The sisters were flexible enough to agree to come on today. And I thank you again for that. But Sister Cobb, I would like for you to open up with that passage that you read to me yesterday regarding self-love. It talked about being obedient and it talked about obedience and fidelity. And it talks about when you lack that obedience and fidelity to self, what can happen. And what can happen is when you're not obedient or you're not faithful to yourself, then people will be able to exploit you. And that is exactly what is going on with Black women. And I don't want men to think that, we're talking, our focus right now, and I want to make this clear, Sister Kaba, before you read your passage. I don't want the men to think this is the sisterhood and we love our brothers. But right now we understand that the sisters, we have to get ourselves together. Okay. We know and understand that the woman is the foundation of the family. We women, we are the soil of the family. So I always say that rotten soil will produce rotten fruit. So you have to have the woman. The woman has to be righteous. The woman has to be right mentally, because if she's not right, now you got to know that we are the first teachers of the children. We are the transmitters of culture. So if that woman has a destructive mentality, then she's going to perpetuate that destructive mentality to her children, and she won't be any benefit to her man because she has a destructive mentality. So we understand that as sisters, and we're trying to step up, and we are censoring the behavior that you see on social media, television, and throughout the community. We're letting you know, brothers, that we do not identify with that behavior. And the sisterhood is now going to set a new standard of decorum, of proper decorum, womanhood, wifehood, and sisterhood. And that is our objective in order to heal our families and in order to resurrect our families. Okay, so with that said, Sister Kaba, could you please open up with your passage on obedience and fidelity?
Yes, sure, of course, because see, when we're dealing with both fidelity and obedience, we're dealing with specific aspects that deal with self-love, fidelity in particular. Of course, because see, when we're dealing with both, I'm hearing a lag. Is that me, sis?
Oh, I'm sorry, sis. That was me. I'm sorry.
All right, no problem. Peace. All right. The passage actually comes from, is written by a ethics professor at Yale University. His name is James Gustafson. He was the editor, and he had an associate professor. There was an associate professor of ethics at Vanderbilt University. And the passage reads, "But there is no doubt that if we want to avoid dangerous simplifications and fatal confusions, we must analyze the closely connected notions of obedience and fidelity as thoroughly as possible. Otherwise, an abuse is likely to be made of them by those who find it useful to exploit for their own ends a goodwill, degenerating little by little into a systemic docility, and finally into a passivity of belief and intention." And so we deal with these intentions. We're dealing with people's intentions at the end of the day once they falter into this degenerate state of docility. Because when we're dealing with fidelity, we're dealing with faithfulness, we're dealing with trust, we're dealing with devotion, loyalty. We're dealing with that. When we're dealing with obedience, we're doing what is ordered. It's a submission. We're submissive. We're obedient. We're docile. We're willing to obey. We're just willing. We're passive. Passivity. You're submissive. You're in action. You're submissive. So it's important that we understand that when dealing with obedience and fidelity, when it comes to self-love, you have to try to avoid dangerous simplification and fatal confusion. And we do that by analyzing obedience and fidelity. You see, because the abuses actually happen when people use them to exploit others for their own good. Sometimes, this can be done unintentionally, but at the end of the day, you're degenerating yourself. You're passive. You're right into the same white supremacist paradigm that has us under the locks right now. It is imperative that, because obedience and fidelity together The two of them, they make a grand statement for self-love, you know, because if you love yourself, you're going to be faithful to yourself. You're going to devote your time and your loyalty to yourself, and those around you, but you definitely have a fidelity for loving yourself. Without that, you know, you deal with obedience to whatever it is that's ordering you to do something different. And that's
Come
when
on.
you start to exploit for your own ends and goodwill, you know? But at the end of the day, you're actually falling into a systemic docility and finally into a passivity of belief and intention. So your intentions aren't good, you know, for yourself and for no one else. It's important that we begin to understand that self-love, as it should be seen, is to love yourself, is to cater in and usher in the love that you need to progress, the nourishment and the contentment that you need to progress in your life. Can't do that by putting on different color eyes. I mean, what's wrong with the color of your eyes?
Come on, sister.
I mean, okay, so if you need lens because you need to see, you know, so you need some glasses, you go to the eye doctor. And they say, oh, well, you know, we could give you the contact lens. Okay, so you want to take the contact lens. So why would you not get the clear ones? Why get the blue ones? What? You know, you hate yourself. You want your eye color different because you hate the color of your eyes. It has nothing to do with the fact that you have an inability to see. You might be nearsighted or, you know, have little problems, but you would actually cater into something different of someone else. You will put blue contact lens in even though you have a problem with seeing. So what is that doing? You know, so the self-hate, the sisters, I've seen it on a grand scale. No, I don't see any sisters. I mean, I see a lot of sisters, but I see the majority of our sisters walking in the midst of others. I mean, we're wanting to be another people who, in fact, have mimicked us throughout their entire lives. And now they got us to the point where we hate ourselves and we're trying to mimic them when they've done everything to mimic us.
Right, but and I want to back you up on that, and because when you talk about like submissiveness and being docile, and this is one of the main reasons, like, you know, it doesn't matter as much now, but you know, I do have a degree in advertising, right? And one of the main reasons why I got out of advertising because it's very, very manipulative to a person who's not like strong in who they are. So a little example, I was working for this company and the campaign was to, you know, advertise this chemical weed killer, right? And I'm sitting here in the meeting and, you know, they're like, yeah, you know, we need to advertise this, but hold up, guys. I saw this article to where the chemical that's being used in this weed killer leads to cancer. And everybody in the boardroom, now me as a farmer, I got a problem with that, right? So I'm like, oh, that's terrible. But everybody in the boardroom don't, you know, they don't care. And so it comes to like, if you're that much weak-minded in understanding that the world will push to you ideas and products and services that you really don't need. You know what I mean? Like they'll push it to you, making you believe that you need it when in fact it's detrimental, rather it be to your physical health or mental or spiritual. And so again, it's going back to, you know, this idea why people are like, well, you know, I don't really need to know the past, or I don't really need to know, you know, what my ancestors did. And I'm like, well, why not? You cutting yourself short because they are portraying a strength. They're portraying an attitude, an action, a behavior, a culture that allowed them and helped them stay strong and firm in who they are. To where I don't care how many commercials you try to push in front of their face about this new weed killer. No, I don't need that. I know how to pick weeds with my hand. Like, I don't need to, you know what I mean? So it definitely goes back to having a strong mind and even in, you know, like me in this world of tantra and energy healing, like I'm not the best, but one of the things I'm learning is it's important to activate what's already dormant inside of you. And that's another thing, like people, you know, we lose a lot of our strength by going to all of these outside sources, trying to find what's already in you, not realizing like you just need to first put yourself in a situation where it's being activated. And, you know, I'm going to let sis speak, but I definitely want us to eventually talk about, like, well, what does self-love look like, and what are steps to get there? But go ahead, sis.
And you know what? Before Sister Kia jumps in, Sister Raziki, stop us maybe at, you know, like the 15-minute mark.
Okay.
And I think it would be cool to kind of end on that. What does it look like? Because I really want to show what it doesn't look like. I'm going to show that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Show what it doesn't look like. And then, like you said, towards the end of the show, what does self-love look like? I want to end off with that. But go ahead, Sister Kia.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of Rizzy, I mean, I want to take it, I'm going to take it a little left and make it a little more personal, because I would imagine that a lot of the women that are watching this, they may not be as, quote unquote, as conscious as we are, or holistic, or maybe even vibrating on the same frequency that that the panel is, and not to say that they know less or anything else. But for my own personal experience, I know growing up, I had low self-esteem terribly. And a lot of that was driven from my childhood. I'm an 80s baby. We all know what happened during the 80s. I was born in 82. Crack hit the scene very hard, and it hit a lot of our families. Me in particular, it hit my mother. And I'm sharing this because I know it got to be somebody that's listening that, right, you know what I'm saying, relate to what I'm saying. But anyway, it hit my mother, and I'm the only child. And I can remember at 5 years old, her calling me ugly, her calling me, her calling me a bitch.
Hold on, sis. You said this was your mom?
Yes, absolutely, my mother. And And like I said, I'm the only child. And like I said, I'm sure there's other women that have been through this, but this is my mother calling me this. I don't know who my father is. I couldn't tell you who he is. If he was standing in front of me, I wouldn't know who he is. And so this went on in my childhood, and I've been through a lot of stuff in my childhood, but the first person that you fall in love with is your mother, or the first entity that you call God or your universe is your mother or your father. And for a lot of us women growing up in the 80s, I would say, we were brought up in dysfunctional households. And so if you are treated a certain way from your mother, that'll put you in a situation that's very hard to come out of. And so growing up, I really thought I was ugly. I really thought I was stupid. I really thought I was not worth anything. I seriously thought that. And I share this story with, I share this story all the time, but I was 21 years old or whatever, something like that. And I'm out in the street wilding. And yeah, she's shaking her head.
She was wilding,
yeah, okay.
We both were, but it's okay, go ahead.
Yeah, we both was out in the street. But anyway, I'm dealing with this guy. I think I was 20. He was 22 years old. Rizzy, you know the story. And he would come and pick me up every day. And he would tell me, well, wow, you look nice. And I'm like, no, I don't. Stop saying that. And this went on for a while. And I didn't think anything of it, you know, but I really didn't believe it. Every time he said it, I'm just like, I'm really thinking he's being funny by saying this, because I don't believe it. And so the last time he picks me up, he says, you look good. And I said, no, I don't. And he flips out on me. He completely flips out on me. He was like, you need to get it together. This is my peer. You need to get it together. You got low self-esteem. I'm not trying to rock with nobody. He said some very, you know.
harsh words. Yeah, keep it real. I mean.
You know,
okay.
But it stuck with me, and I'm like, wow, this dude is 22 years old, my peer, and he can see that I have low self-esteem, that I have self-hate, that I do not have love for myself. Mm-hmm. And so from that day forward, I had to look at myself differently and then identify the issues and the source as to how did I got here, right? And a lot of that had to do with childhood issues that was not resolved, that I carried over into my adult life. So I found myself masking myself with how I dress, how loud I can be, how provocative I can be, how many men that would sleep with me.
Come on.
you know, and I would base, look at this, I would base how cute a guy was off, you know, contingent of how cute he was. It had to admit that I was pretty. I would validate my self-worth with that. And I really thought that.
Come on.
And, you know, as time went on, I certainly worked on myself. And this is way before I became quote unquote conscious. I realized that I had an issue. I had a drinking issue. I had all kind of issues based upon my childhood and not really realizing that mess affected me. And I brought that over into my adult life as a woman. And I didn't really readily knew what love looked like because, again, I didn't have my mother or my father, and I don't have any sisters or brothers. So it was like I didn't really know. And I have a great family, but you know that immediate family, it wasn't readily available to me. So I had to teach myself how to be a woman. And now at 34 years old, and Rizzy could tell you, God knows you can't tell me I ain't pretty. You can't tell me I ain't worth it. But it started with recognizing the inner issues. And so I think that is key in the Black community. We don't discuss these issues that's happening to little girls and little boys when they are being sexually molested, they're being touched, they're being treated differently at home. It's a lot of issues going on, and we just, especially as Black people, we don't like to talk about it, and then we suppress it, and we carry that mess with us. And then this is an energy you carry, and you expose everybody to it. But and then people are lost. They don't know what's going on with you because you haven't recognized that. So for me to get to where I'm at right now, where I know I am a God, I know I'm a good woman, I know I'm a good wife material, and I know I'm a great mother, I had to first realize that I had issues and that I had to deal with that day by day first, day by day. And you know what else I would do? Like, this is so stupid, but it worked for me. I would take pictures, maybe Facebook or MySpace or whatever, and I would look at myself. And I was like, wow, you're really pretty. And I would do that every day. And I was telling Rizzy this the other day, I had to fake it until I actually believed it. I had to manifest that thing in my life. And a lot of women are dealing with that. And I think we need to deal with those issues first before we can say, hey, why are you putting on this weave? Why are you putting this on? Well, what's going on? What happened in your past, like you said, Rizzy? What happened in your past that got you here? Because really, you a little girl. You still that 7-year-old girl trying to find her way at 35, 40 years old.
That's very true. And I don't want to keep it going, but like even the conversation we had the other day, and again, it's amazing, you know, sisterhood, because you're able to see literally the growth. Like us at 32 and 34, how we were at 20 and 22. I mean, completely, like we would just look back and I cannot believe we were that way, and realizing how destructive we were to ourselves because of how we viewed ourselves. And like for me, you know, even my issue like, you know, I was always a relationship person, right? And it took a while for me to realize that I was getting into relationships because I wasn't fulfilled in myself. That's number one. Like I would look for fulfillment by, you know, just constantly, you know, being in these relationships. And the second part was, you know, I'm like, well, why do I keep always dating these dirt bags? That's what she would call them. Like, girl, you be dating dirt bags or whatever. And it came to a point where I had to really realize, like, okay, first off, and man, this is the realest shit I had to say to myself. Girl, you know where I'm going, kid. I would date men that were, and when I say lower, it's not because, you know, I feel like I'm better, but because I felt like, well, dang, he has himself so together to the point where I'm not worthy of that man, because he's going to expect me to perform a certain way, and I'm too lazy to do that, or I don't feel like I'm capable of, you know, reaching that level of performance to where I could say, okay, he has all this going on, so I deserve to be in a relationship with that kind of guy. That's why I was comfortable in dating dirtbags. They didn't require me to love myself. They didn't require me to see myself in this light to where I'm acting and moving in a way where, you know, she really loves herself, because now you're required to love me, if not the same, even better. You know what I mean? And I really love myself. So, I mean, there again, and it's going back to, well, first identifying why do I even view myself as less than? Yes. You know, and again, it comes to, there's a scarcity of men in my family. There are not a lot of women in my family who are married. So in order for me to break that mold, maybe I need to lower my standards so I can walk around and say I have a man. You know what I'm saying? Instead of identifying the traits that, you know, are not, you know, of a healed woman. And, you know, not being afraid to challenge myself to heal and require myself to perform at a certain level to where I literally attract what I deserve. So again, me not seeing a consistent presence of men in the family, and I'm not going to lie, they probably watching, but I'm keeping it real. A lot of women in my family are really good at holding grudges and being bitter like a mug. And it's like, well, what kind of self-love are you working with for you to be okay to be in an angry ass state all day, every day? Ain't nobody got time for that. That's draining.
Hold up, kid. And Riziki, I just wanted to piggyback on a couple of things that you all said, because the sisters actually said so much. I wanted to start with Sister Kaba and how the passage that she read. She said that, you know, in order to love yourself, it requires obedience and fidelity, right? And she said, if you're not obedient to yourself or faithful to yourself, then two things can happen. You will be exploited by others and abused by others, or you will be obedient to, I guess, a standard imposed upon you from others. So, Sister, I just wanted to bring that to the forefront and say that I concur 100% with the information that you put forth. Sister Kia, you touched on a lot. You were saying how, you know, a lot of the current issues that you had or that you used to have were from issues of the past. I remember looking at a lecture recently by Dr. Amos Wilson, where he says we view history as if it's dead. We view history as if it's a thing of the past. And he's saying that history is present. History, you know, even though it took place years ago, decades ago, you know, centuries ago, Dr. Amos Wilson tells us that history is present, because everything you do now, you do it because you learned it yesterday. So he said, well, when did you learn how to walk and talk? I learned how to walk and talk in the past, but I do it presently. So the things that we do presently is because we learned how to do them in the past. So with that being said, how we maneuver, how we respond to certain people, we learn that. You get what I'm saying? Based off of, even though it's history, but history is alive and well. And I'll use myself as an example. Okay. Yes. My issue was, and I got brother Ankh is in the chat room. You got brother Abazu, he's in the chat room. You got brother Sean P in the chat room. Brother Kimmick King. I see sister. There's another sister in the chat room. I don't have it right in front of me. Olivia, Sister Olivia. So there are a lot of people that are joining us right now. I would like to say thank you for joining us. But anyway, what I was going to use, I'm using myself as an example. I had a lot of issues with men. I was so angry with men growing up. You know, I'm talking about like just angry. You know, a man couldn't do anything right, you know, and I could cut you off. And I'm still like that, actually. And Sister Kaba, she knows how I am, and she can attest to that. I can cut a man off quick. It doesn't take much for me to cut him off. I will cut you off. I will block your telephone number. I will disassociate myself from you. And I'm talking about Dr. Mayat today in 2016. It doesn't take much for me to disassociate myself from a man. So then I had to ask myself, why is that so? Well, I am a woman that had daddy issues. My father wasn't, he wasn't consistent. He wasn't responsible. And this is not to bash him. I'm just simply sharing my experience with him. But he wasn't a consistent man. He wasn't very responsible. He wasn't dependable or reliable, you know. So he broke my heart when I was a little girl. So, so when I grew up, and we got to understand, your daddy, that is your first male love. And I emphasize this to my sons, that when you get your little girl, she is, your little girl, I told them the way she would love you is going to be different than your little boy. Your little boy is going to love you. He's going to want to, emulate you. But your little girl is you're like her hero. She's going to wait on you, depend on you. You are daddy. You are king. You are the king, and when you break her heart, you don't understand that not only is she going to be angry with you, but every man that she comes across, she's going to be angry with him. So I had to realize that I was angry with my father. So, growing up, oh my gosh, I would curse out guys, still do curse out guys, and I'm working on that. I'm a work in progress. And Sister Kyle was laughing because she's been involved in some conversations. So, I'm still working right now, and I'm working on it. I'm working on self, and that's what this journey is about, working on self, recognizing your issues, facing them dead on, dealing with them, and evolving, So I learned that I was upset with men because of my father. And that affected all of my relationships. I'm talking about friendships with males, and also intimate relationships with males, because I was upset and angry and bitter over what transpired between my father and myself. So history, that being said, history is not a thing of the past. History is not something that is dead. History is alive and well, because you think, behave, and respond today based on your experiences. Dr. Amos Wilson tells us that our psychology, and I have a book that talks about the development of our psychology. Your psychology is based on your history and your experiences. So the psychology that you have today is because of something that took place in the past and whatever you experienced in the past, and that shapes our psychology. Sister Riziki, you touched on advertising, and you said how if you're not comfortable with yourself, how you can be easily drawn into these advertisements, these images that are being projected on us. And I want to talk a little bit, sisters, about these images that are being projected on us, and why our little girls now think that in order to be beautiful, you have to have $500 weave, sold in your hair or glued in your hair, or why you have to have the blonde tracks, why you have to have breast implants, butt implants, why you had to be a certain complexion. I want to talk about that. So what do I want to talk about some of those images. So I want to get into some of the stuff that's being projected on the media. So social media, let's get into that. I see a lot of women doing a lot of things on social media, and that is not self-love. I see a lot of things on television. I was sharing with you guys before we went live that my friend had me watch Love and Slip Slop last night, and how I'm looking at images of black women, and I'm like, they can't possibly love themselves. You get what I'm saying? Housewives of Atlanta, all of these shows, with these images of women who clearly don't love themselves. So can one of you sisters touch on these images that we, all right, go ahead, Sister Kia. Go ahead.
Hey, Sister Kia, I want you to go, but I want to say something to you right quick. I wanted to tell you, in your honesty, because to be truthful, really and truly in all declarations, it's sacred, and it's absolutely it commands a decree of reason. You know what I'm saying? So it's not limited by any type of expediency. So I just want to let you know that I heard your story. I appreciate you, and you're not alone, sis. There's a couple of stories just that I know just almost mimic yours. So I just wanted to tell you that I'm happy you're here today, and you're proof. You're proof that self-love is something that can be achieved and attained. Go ahead, sis.
Yeah, oh, thank you so much. And I just feel like I have to share that and make it more personable, so when people watch this, I don't seem as distant. I have been in the same place that a lot of these sisters that we see on Love and Hip Hop. By the way, I watched that show, but I Love and Hip Hop, and you see the hurt in them. And again, I have to go back to this being a deeply rooted issue. things that these women have may or may not be dealing with as of now. They just haven't realized that they have been hurt from the past, like you said, Dr. Mayat, and that they just hiding behind it. I know, and I have to use myself for instance. I know I used to, when I was small, I didn't like my forehead. I would wear my bangs. I had to wear my bangs. It made me feel safe, right? Something as small as a bangs made me feel safe. And I felt comfortable. And then at that point, I felt a little prettier than if I was to wear my hair all the way back, you know? And so something as simple as that, that's the same thing you see with a grown woman with blonde hair and blue eyes and fingernails on and a whole bunch of makeup on. She really masking who she don't know who she is, right? Or she wouldn't do that. She would bear her true self. So what you're seeing is the representation of who she want to be and not who she really is. And that's what we see with a lot of our sisters today. You know, again, for myself, I used to be an attention freak, or for lack of better words, attention whore. And Rizzy know this, which is why before we got on here, I said, you know, I'm not on Facebook right now because I'm doing a fast, and the fast is to keep me humble, and this is for my own personal reasons, but to keep me humble and to keep me sane. And I understand the psychology of the time that we're dealing with, right? And the energies that can be manifested over Facebook. Like you could be reading a post and you get upset and emotional and go on a rant, or you don't know. So you get in a place where it kind of control you. But back to what I was saying, as far as me being an attention whore, I would literally seek attention for validation. So with that being said, a lot of what you see with these images are women seeking attention and validation. They have no idea where to find love, but they understand if I do this, this, and this, then I will get the attention that I need to succeed in what I'm trying to do. So this is what we're seeing. We see a lot of sisters, they're really hurt.
Yes, they are. Broken.
They really are hurting.
Broken.
And Dr. Ma'at, I wanted to add something to what the sister was saying. Because, you know, I mean, even when we look at the images as far as dress, let's just get real right quick.
Come on, sis.
We see what we see in the motherland. You know, not recent times, we would see our women and our men. You know, they're having rituals, they're tribals, they're singing, they're dancing. The women are not clothed. Their breasts are out. You don't see the men walking around with jimmies. They're not hard.
Thank you.
The psyches of our people are different. Here today, we're looking for validation. It goes back to what the sister was saying. We're trying to be validated by showing everything, but let's go back to our motherland. Why aren't the men running around on hard because the women are showing their breasts?
Yes.
You see? So, I mean, we got to look at that for what it is. You know, we're taking our clothes today. So everything today is about image, about perception of ourselves. You know, I can put on a shirt and I could forget it. Let me just show all my cleavage. Well, hell, just take the shirt off. I mean, you know, nobody should be walking around with a jimmy. You know what I'm saying? It's the psychological state that we're in America, in the world. You know, we don't see that over here. If we see 10, 15 sisters walking with no shirts on, come on, you know, the freaks are coming out. I mean, let's just be real about it. So peace on that. I just wanted to bring that in, sis. I'm right here, sister.
I want to back you up on that too, because, you know, I host sweat lodges here in Atlanta. And there's been many times where I've done sweat lodges and it's co-ed and we are naked. We go back to the tribal, you know, the tribal element and energy, because there's no greater, you know, way to feel comfortable with yourself, with your body, and be in tune with nature other than being naked in it. And the fact that, you know, this is a space where brothers and sisters can come together, be naked, and not feel like someone's looking at my boobs or looking at my butt or a man's worried about, well, does she think my penis is small because, you know, it's shriveled right now because you know what I'm saying? Like, and you're absolutely right. It's a psychology. So this goes back to, again, women being strong, right? Like, instead of seeking validation based on what this man is interested in, regardless if it's from the higher or lower self, you know, like, are you going to, you know, stay true to self, you know, knowing that just because he's attracted to this doesn't make it right. And two, like, you know, I've had great sex with a guy who has a great body, but his spirit was uglier than a motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, it was freaking terrible. And so again, going back to like even what we look for, you know, when it comes to self-love and even dealing with other people, like, does this surface stuff even really matter? You know what I mean? It's really about going into the inside of it and knowing when to think with the mind and the heart instead of your loins. Go ahead, sis.
And I just wanted to piggyback right quick off of that. And we as women have to understand, if you're asking for something from a man, you definitely have to be able to provide that. There's no way you're going to say that you want love. You want him to know himself. You want him to exude this. You want him to do this. Well, hold on.
What about you?
Are you able to provide that?
Come
And
on.
the answer, to be honest, is no. And so we have to be true and honest to ourselves. And the first person you should be honest with is yourself. I tell myself all the time, Kia, you talk too much. Shut up. Listen. Be quiet. Take a time to be quiet and listen. You do too much. And I am the realest person to myself. And this is how I'm able to go out into the world and be real with everybody else and exude that energy. So, you know, real understand real. And so when we talk, you know, I'm telling the truth, because I'm the first one to criticize myself and correct myself. And so we should also do that as women as well.
No doubt, sis. And you guys said again a lot. You talked about, well, Sister Riziki, you said that and correct me if I'm wrong, sis, you said, should the surface matter? And I would say to an extent that it does, because who you are on the inside is projected on the outside. So if I feel like I'm ugly internally, like I feel that, then I'm going to project that on the outside. You'll see that in how, you know, I'm going to spend my last dollar on hair and powder. I've seen sisters, man, who make themselves up and they look like mannequins or they look like corpses because they put powder on it. So you hating yourself is going to be projected on the outside. So I say to some degree, surface does matter, because what's on the inside will be projected on the outside. But is that what you're going to?
You know, but you know they got those masks too, because like I was saying, dude was fine in a mug, and you know he could work it in bed, but he was controlling. Kia know who I'm talking about. She called him Psycho Man.
What? Oh,
that dude was freaking a crazy man. That dude was freaking nuts. But on the outside, he took care of himself. So I do agree to a point that surface matters. But you know, how is that surface built? Is it built because you're trying to hide something, or you know what I mean? Is it really who you are? And so again, you know, man, look,
that's why I said I agree with you to a point. So I think we both. I think we're both in sync. So let's go to this topic of hair. I was looking at Love and Slip Slop last night, and I noticed that everybody had tracks. I mean, I don't know what they call it. Is it called yaki hair? What is it called, Riziki? I've been out of it. I'm 35. I've been natural for 20 years, so I have no clue. I've
never been a woman, so I don't know. I know about Kaneka line because of the microbraid.
I just know Remy.
Hold on, sis. I started growing my perm out once I read From the Bow to Foul by Ancestral. You know, when I was 15, and that's when I said, you know what, I'm gonna grow my perm out. And I haven't had one since. But how do you guys feel? Because you do have some sisters who will argue that they had weave in Africa, or they had, you know, they braided animal, you know, the animal fur. And how would you? There are some sisters that justify, you know, perms and tracks. And so what I'm saying to you, if a sister puts tracks in her hair, right?
Hey, your sound went out, sis. Dr. Ma'at.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, man.
No, I can hear you. I think that's
we can hear you, sis.
Can you guys hear me? Oh,
yeah, we can hear you. Sister Copper probably just having an issue. Go ahead.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, how do you guys? When I saw Love and Slip Slop last night, every woman had hair down her back. Some women had blonde, somebody had pink. I saw blue. And it was always, it was from the crown of her head down to their butts. I also saw a lot of breast implants. It seemed like every woman on there, with the exception of Remy Ma. Remy Ma had the hair, but it didn't look like she had any work done to her body. But all of those women, had the long tracks, the fake breasts and stuff like that. So I asked you, in terms of hair, do you think that wearing tracks or wearing a perm is white worship or self-hatred?
I'm going to say for me, because Rizzy first off, I have had my locks now. I'm going to share with the crew. I have had my locks now for about 4 months now. And when I started my locks, I was natural for 2 years.
Tell them before that.
I know, but let me get to that point.
Okay.
So when Rizzy saw my locks, she could not believe it, because before, I do my perms, I have my hair cut, and I felt like
ever going to get locks. Okay, I'm done. Go ahead.
Exactly, and I was like, I ain't getting no lock. Like, it was a lot of stuff Rizzy did that I thought it was weird, and then I had to come back and apologize to her as I became more conscious and enlightened. Like, oh, you really was telling the truth, but I wasn't there. But I just thought she was freaking retarded or something. But anyway, I would perm my hair and stuff like that, and I always wore my hair short. I wore my hair short for like almost 12 years, and to me personally, I didn't find it as self-hate. I really just thought it was manageable. I thought it was easy to do. I don't know how to do hair. I don't even know how to do my locks now, but I don't know how to do hair, so I really thought it was just manageable. It looked good on me, and I didn't look at it as a self-hate until I started educating myself as far as the health concerns, which is why I kind of got away and went natural. But it wasn't per se where I was trying to be right or nothing. And maybe subconsciously I was, but to me, consciously, that wasn't my first thought. I just thought it was easier. It looked good on me. I like to wear my hair short. I didn't like, my hair is very soft and curly. So if I perm it, it stays, it stays straight. And it's easy to deal with. But when I started to become a little, like I said, more enlightened, I understand the health issues, and that I'm a little more freer and beautiful with my locks.
I love them, Sister Kia. I love them, girl.
Yes,
thank you.
I do, but when you just said that it was easier, that kind of brought back a memory to me. I remember when I first told my mother. I didn't know anything about perms, because we got to remember, as mothers, we transmit culture, and we are the first teachers. I just remember being at a certain age, my mom and my aunt sitting me at the kitchen table, slapping perm in my hair.
Right.
I didn't know why. I remember being in kindergarten and having my little twists and my plaits and my braids and stuff. And I remember once I got in elementary school, I think maybe in the 4th grade, I think I was around 9 or 10. I just remember my auntie and my mom, we were at the kitchen, they cooked, sit still girl, and they started putting the white stuff all over my hair. They straightened my hair. And after that, I had a perm. I had no idea why they perm my hair or why it should be straight. It was just something that, my mom and my aunt did. Years later, when I decided to go natural, I told my mom, I read Anthony T. Browder's book, From the Browder File, and in one of the chapters, he talks about hair. And he said, it's a lame excuse for us to say that our hair, we perm it because it's easy to manage. He was like, what do you mean easy to manage? He said, we say that because we haven't been properly trained with our hair.
That's true.
So if my mother and them, in lieu of perming my hair, taught me how to manage my hair at the age of 9 and 10, I probably would have never gotten a perm. Okay. Right. So I wanted to address that when you were saying that, and then, and then also, I think you touched on a great point when you said consciously you weren't thinking about being or emulating white people. Right. But, you were, but then subconsciously, what is really going on with us? And
Right.
think about the 80s. You know, when I look back on the cartoons in the 80s, look at Frosty the Snowman. I looked at Frosty the Snowman with my son a few days ago. There's no black characters in Frosty the Snowman.
Yeah.
None. Look at the Jetsons. Do you remember when we were growing up in the 80s, we were watching the Jetsons? No black characters. You had George, Jane, Judy, and Elroy, right?
Yeah.
We can get into other cartoons from the 80s. So, you know, consciously, were we emulating white? No, but we were being indoctrinated with white images throughout the 80s. And I can only speak for the 80s because I was born in 81. You know, I can't speak for what happened in the 60s, 70s. I mean, I can only, you know, try to extrapolate. But we were indoctrinated with these images, you know. So, of course, you know, when we straighten our hair, what are we really emulating when we straighten our hair? Who are we really looking like when we dye it blonde? Like, who are we really emulating? And then when you go to church, you see images of a white Jesus. I know that I grew up at Morning Star Baptist Church of Christ, and the image of God that I saw. And what I'll do for you ladies, and I'll also do this for the viewers, I will when I go to my mother's church on Sunday, I'm gonna take a picture above the pulpit. There's a white Jesus standing there like this. That was the image that I saw from the time that I was, you know, 5, 6, and can remember. And it's still there today, and I'm now 35. I say all that to say, consciously, we may not have been saying we want to emulate white people, but subconsciously, we were. Subconsciously, we were taught to worship Europeans. And then not to mention, you go through school, you matriculate through the public school system. And what are you taught? So, okay, on TV, I see these images, you know, cartoons. I'm not representing in cartoons. I see commercials, you know, of women with long, straight hair. I see that. So I see the commercials. I see the animations. I go to church and I see the white Jesus. And then I go to school and I'm given a Eurocentric based curriculum. So I'm taught about George Washington. I'm taught about the Boston Tea Party, the American Revolution. And then when it gets to my history, I am taught that I am the descendants of slaves.
That's true.
Okay? Right. I am the descendants of slaves. So consciously, no, we're not walking around saying we're trying to worship white people. We're trying to emulate white people. But subconsciously, we are.
And I want to say this because I'm going to keep it real. Now, I was raised in a military family, so majority of my life I was around white people, okay? And even though I did not want to be white, there were parts of me I wanted white-like. I'm not going to deny that. So I remember, you know, being in the mirror and I'm just going like this, you know, like, and I ain't got no hair back there, but I'm purposely going like this because the white girls did it. And I'm like, oh, it must feel good to do that because I got long hair. You know what I mean? And,
you put the shirt on your head?
Oh, girl, yeah, I put the shirt on my head, or even, you know, my little hair that was right here. I would still flip that little thing like, you know, something was there. And then, too, there were certain, you know, and I'm going to just keep it real. People may be like, what the F? But there was a point in time I was obsessed with white people's feet. Why? Because you can't see corns on white people's feet. You know what I mean? There was just certain things about white people, like in their breasts. Every time I saw a white woman, they were perky. You know what I mean? Or in the shows or whatever. So I'm just looking at white people and parts of their body and it's like, oh, well, if I wanted to be white, this is why, because there's parts of them that I wanted for myself. And you know what I mean? There was just so many things about black women that were shown on TV that was just ugly. You know what I mean?
On.
I did, you know, from the attitude. So I'm also reflecting the attitude I see, you know, even in the cartoons we did see, regardless if it was from the 80s or 70s, but even Tom and Jerry, that was a black woman, but they never showed her face. You know, you would also see other cartoons with the dark face and the big lips. So, I mean, it was a lot of conditioning.
That's right.
You know, I was not aware of it then, but now that I look at it, and I'm just like, wow, I'm really glad that, and one thing I am glad about is that my mother did not raise us in the church. Now, we went on Mother's Day, Father's Day, and on Easter, you know what I mean? But I'm grateful I wasn't indoctrinated as much in that, but I mean, I could speak for me. I subconsciously and consciously wanted things that were white-like.
Hey, hold up. Let me add this. Let me add this real fast. And Sister Cobb, I want to get you in on the bill, but I wanted to add this just real quick. When I was younger, I had an issue with my complexion. I had an issue with being a dark-skinned woman. Why? Because guess what? When we were going through elementary school, when there was crack battles, the first thing they would say is, "You black, you know, you a spook, you black." You know,
Yeah.
I remember we used to go back and forth with the mama joke. Your mama's so black. You know, when she went to night school, they marked the ass. You know, your mother's so black. When she put on orange lipstick, she looked like a cheeseburger. I mean, it was like being dark. But you know what? I mean, it was like being dark skinned was the worst. You get what I'm saying? I didn't even understand why. Like, why am I? And my mom is she's not light skinned. She's like a medium, like brown. And I'm like, God, but I have my father's complexion. So I'm dark. My father's family are dark skinned individuals. And now that I'm older, I love my melanin. You know, I found out that it's melanin that gives me my hue, you know, and I love it and I embrace it. But when I was a child growing up, you know, being dark skinned was just not cool. I mean, the guys, they didn't date the dark skinned girls. They wanted the fair skinned girls with the long hair, pretty hair. And so, you know, I'm looking like, wow, am I not a beautiful, you know? And then I did not want to be dark skinned. I wanted to be light skinned. And if I had family members on this panel right now, they would attest to what I'm telling you. When I was younger in elementary school, I preferred to be light skinned. I wanted to be a light skinned, I wanted to be a light skinned female. I remember my preference when I was younger was light skinned. I wanted a light skinned boyfriend. And I'm talking about this was me until I would, you know, I wanted a light skinned guy, you know. But why did I want light skinned guys? Why did I always go to light skinned guys? Because now I take any complexion. You could be light skin, brown skin, dark skin. I love the whole spectrum. But I'm just talking about me back then. It's just, you know, being light skinned was in, and I had a complex with being a dark skinned woman. Now I embrace it. I love it. And then you got brothers that are like, baby, I want a melanated goddess and all of that. You know, but that's my testimony. So go in. Sister Kaba.
I just wanted to add. I saw one of the brothers in the chat just now, because I just tuned into the chat. Got my computer working up. Mike Spees, he mentioned something about if you were in Louisiana. He said, if you're in Louisiana, the public schools, they hit you with it. You know, he's right. As a first, second grader, kindergartner, I remember the books that I was reading. It was about Dick and Jane. They were always a little white girl with blue eyes and blonde hair. You know, she was always on skates. Dick was always on a bike. He was a white boy, brunette, whatever. He was always white images. Everybody, their mothers, their family. They even tried to make excuse my English. They even tried to make the goddamn dog, you know, white. So I'm just saying. But when you get down to the part about Africa, the way they threw us in there was they would talk about the jungle. They would say the goddamn jungle is in Africa. You know, this is what they do. They mass mind manipulation. So we would see images of ourselves riding on top of goddamn rhinoceroses with bones in our damn nose. Those were the images we saw in first, second, and third grade. So quite naturally, we're going to formulate, because I was born in 70 and I went to public school in the 70s. I went to elementary school in 75. You see what I'm saying? So you know what was happening in 75. They had me take the big damn picture behind the goddamn American flag. You understand? Independence Day. You know, they got us taking pictures behind it. Everything was a code, you know, but that is what we were seeing. And so I can remember by the time I got to 6th grade, you know what I'm saying? Like everything that I wanted was based off the things that I had saw in the books coming up. I mean, every magazine, every catalog for the holidays or whatever always was designer children. They were always white. They put the perception there for us to tell us what was the standard of beauty. And then because our families were coming out of Jim Crow, you know what I'm saying? Desegregation, fighting for equal rights, fighting for voting rights, fighting for human rights. They felt like Okay, so now we can give our children Christmas and everything. It's going to be okay. We can buy them some things, but not knowing that everything that they were giving us was helping to cater our perception so that we wouldn't love ourselves. Every single thing. And then the church was no different. You know, I don't even want to go in on the church. I heard Razika talking about, I'm glad she didn't bring us to church. Well, guess what? I went to every last one of them. Pentecostal, Lutheran, Protestant, you know, I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So the precept was put there already for us to hate ourselves. It's everywhere. It's in the school system. They will never stop putting these images out there because right now they know they have us captivated. And now, you know, the agenda is even bigger than ever now. Now they're trying to exterminate us. Now they want to exterminate our race. They want us to go with one another, the same sex. They want us to swap sides and go to the other side and make a baby and then go back to the other side with the unnatural shit. You know, I'm going to leave it alone. I just wanted to bring that in there right quick. Peace to the phone.
No.
My phone died. Look, my phone is dead. It's kind of messed up on me right now. So I'm trying to hope that we can get through this thing because I know you got to get to the womb. Good.
Oh, yeah. I want to get to the womb, and then we're going to jump into, I'm glad you sisters are keeping me on track. You reminded me of the womb, and Sister Raziki said we need to get into what self-love looks like. So we're getting ready to the womb, and then we're going to close with what self-love looks like now. Okay, so with that said, I wanted to talk about sisters in the womb, all right? And, you know, as women, you know, if we love ourselves and truly love ourselves, we will be protecting the womb. I think a lot of sisters, and we're going to actually do a class on this, a lot of women aren't taught, what is your womb? What is the purpose of your womb? Some of these girls don't know, and I don't mean to be vulgar right now, but can I be vulgar?
Go ahead, roll with it.
Some of these girls don't know their vaginas from the hole in the wall. I was going to use the P word, but I'm just going to say vaginas. Some of these little girls, and not even little girls, grown women, I'm going to say grown girls. I won't call them grown women. I'll call them grown girls. Some of these young girls and grown girls don't know their vaginas from the hole in the wall. So they will lay with any man, okay? They will lay down with any man. They won't protect themselves. These brothers, I remember one time my auntie said, how can you as a woman allow any man just to enter your body, into your womb, and just release himself? You know, just, you know, release yourself like your womb is nothing. You know, he come over, you know, he comes to the house, for you doesn't love you, and you just let him. Can I just give a little?
What's off in there? Go in.
What's
off in there?
You already held back enough. We already held back all stuff already.
Yes,
So,
just release himself. Just bust one in you, and then he roll out. And then he leaves you, you know. Then you got another one. He come over, you know. And he just release all of his energy in you. Then another one, he's releasing all of his energy in you. Let me show you something real quick, sis.
I need to fill my teacup again. I need to.
Baby.
It's getting juicy. Go, yeah, and then too, while you looking that up, sis, because again, even as a student, you know, dealing with Tantra, you know, and we talk about STDs and we know about sexually transmitted diseases, but what about them demons though? You know what I mean? Because we don't understand that our womb, and I'm gonna tell you, like, the stuff I've been through between the abuse and, you know, me abusing myself by allowing, you know, men to just pup all up on me. You know, I inherited some traits that, you know, I'm like, well, damn, where the hell did that come from? You know, so, okay, but go ahead, sis.
I'm sorry, I fell off. I don't know.
Yeah.
You got two up there now.
I'm like, what happened with?
Yeah, because we got to get to the humping and the pumping and the button off and the squirting and all that stuff. Okay.
We're ready to get to that. Hold on. Let me get to that. Hold on, because I want to.
Don't shake.
I want to.
Got issues.
I want to share my screen. I want to share my screen. This is like a teaching moment right now.
Yeah. Make sure you give it to him, Dr. Ma, because you know we really, the black women in the world are funding the medical industry, so we know that. Go ahead.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
But we got a bag for medical assistance. That's the thing. We got a bag and sign applications, but we're funding that sucker.
But see, it should be about prevention, though. You know what I mean? Like,
hold up, sis. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes. Go ahead, sis. I can see it.
Okay, yeah, I can see it.
Gotcha.
I want to, once I go through this, then one of you can build in, one of you guys can,
I can definitely build in with you.
to build on the medical, on the medical side of it. So when we talk about seminal fluid, right? And I'm not, I just want to show the brothers and sisters. So this is a male's body, right? Mm-hmm. So when we talk about his sperm, now I'm not even gonna get to sperm. Let's talk about his seminal fluid. Mm-hmm. Seminal fluid comes from 3 glands in the male's body.
Talk about
it. 3 glands. The first gland is his prostate gland. Yes. So you have the prostate gland, and then you have the seminal vesicle, which is right here, and then you have the bulbourethra gland. Okay, so 3 glands. There are 3 glands that produce fluids. All right, and these fluids assist the sperm and traveling up the urethra. Okay, here's the urethra opening. Now the sperm is manufactured right here in the testicles. All right, and I believe it's in the seminiferous tubules. I believe that's what it's called, seminiferous tubules. So sperm and seminal fluid, it comes from 4 areas in the man's body: his prostate gland, his seminal vesicle, his bulbourethra gland, and then you have the seminiferous tubules. So all of that produces the sperm and the seminal fluid. Now, knowing this, all right, knowing that these fluids come from these different glands, come on. You will want to be careful of what man you allow to ejaculate in your womb.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You get what I'm saying? Like, this brother could be, depending on his diet. You don't know if his diet is acidic. You don't know if it's alkaline. You don't know what's going on with his body, how he eats, and how, does he consume alcohol? Does he consume drugs? Because all of that plays a part in the quality of fluids that he will ejaculate in your womb. So right. Knowing these different parts of the body of a man, and knowing that these different glands contribute to that fluid that is going in your womb.
That's right.
You to be more selective as a woman as to who you allow inside of your universe, your womb. So brother, Sister Kaba, Sister Raziki, y'all can build on the medical industry and how that, affects Black women. But I just wanted to show my sisters this, all of my sisters who are watching, know where these fluids are coming from in these men, and love your womb and protect your womb so that you won't allow all of these men. Like, if look at this, 4 glands contribute to the fluids that are coming out of his penis.
And
let
me build on that a little bit too, because again, this is why, my motto is, and I'll say it till, I feel like it's not relevant no more. Black people need Tantra, because a part of our curriculum is understanding the body and the reproductive organs and what contribute to, those systems. And so one of the things that we learn is, just like how women, we hold a lot of trauma and bad experiences in our wombs and our ovaries. For men, they hold it in their prostate. If you understand that the man and female genitalia are like inversions of each other, and so for men, again, they hold a lot of stress and toxins in their prostate, which is why a lot of our Black men today are getting prostate cancer. And so one of the things we learn, and before I go into this, I just want to be clear on something, because I know men watching, y'all about to start feeling some sort of way. But I just want to say, any kind of sexual interaction between a man and a woman is not gay. Okay, I just want to reiterate this again. If I'm a woman and he's a man and I'm touching him sexually, this is not gay because I'm a woman. So one of the exercises we learn in Tantra is male activation. We understand that a man can be activated through certain reflexology points in his penis, the way you massage it, the way you exercise it. And we also understand a part of his activation is working with his prostate. Rather, it's energetically projecting and touching it, energetically or physically touching, because we understand in the male body, like you said, sis, being that prostate is one of the glands that produces the semen, in a man, we also have to make sure that those glands are healthy. So again, this is why, you know, I encourage women to not only learn about themselves sexually, but also learn about men sexually, because we too have a part in playing and healing each other. You know, so again, I don't want to go too deep into that, but one of the workshops that I'm giving this weekend at this sacred sexuality retreat is understanding the glands that are in a man and how we can contribute to their healing, so that when if this is a man you do feel like you want to spend your life with or whatever, you're able to not only heal him, but heal the sperm that's being deposited in you, you know, if y'all choose to go that route. But absolutely, there's a lot of self-love in wanting to heal the person that you're with, because you're sharing energy with him.
Yes.
So that's all I have to say. I ain't gonna get into too much.
Piggyback off of the sharing the energy part. I think
because I'm sorry, just go ahead. Riziki took us right over there to India. Go ahead on, Riziki. I'm right there. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm going to Africa though. I bet you. I'm going to Africa, Riziki.
Yeah, go to Africa.
Where's she going?
Going to Africa, Riziki.
Where's she going?
Huh?
What part of Africa?
What you say, sis?
What part of Africa are you going?
All of it. All of it. How about that? You know, all of it, sis. All of it. You know, because everything's spread out from there, you know, so that's all. That's all.
Oh, I don't blame you. You have the best experience in your life.
Right.
Me and Riziki know.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to touch on the energy part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just as women, I don't think we know how important it is as far as energy is, the energy exchange. And if you are not right and the person that you're dealing with is not right, you guys are constantly exchanging negative energy, and no one is really growing spiritually, but you may be, you know, connecting on a physical level, but it's not going anywhere. And I think, or if the woman is interested in a man that he himself is not spiritually in line, or, you know, he knows himself and loves himself in the whole 9 yards, but you have some kind of sense of love or consciousness of it, and you guys connect sexually, you then take on all of his negative energy, and he leaves a footprint with you. And then you find yourself being attached to someone that, okay, y'all already broke up, but you can't understand why you still attached to this person, or you feel a certain kind of way, because you done took on a lot of his attributes through sex. And we know that sex is the highest and the purest form of spirituality, you know, between two light beings. And so if we understand that, us as women, we just have to be more responsible with our wombs, understanding that it is sacred, and take pride with your womb first, and then someone else will respect it going forward.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Riziki something, because because she was, she always tell us about the tantra. I mean, I be appreciating her build on that. You know what I'm saying? And I was just wondering, like, just say we go to, ancient Egypt, and then we deal with these life force energies and, organisms, how they made to be weaker, the release of sexual energy. In both the Hindu and Tibetan Tantra systems, it is asked that the male is supposed to avoid ejaculating. Can you kind of expound on that? Can you expound on that, sis?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes, because there is a male's orgasm and ejaculation are two different things. And it's called the art of retaining the seed. And I do see some men going off about that whole thing. But again, even if a man wanted to hold himself back from ejaculating, one of the muscles that he squeezes is his butt, which is also squeezing that prostate gland. So again, when you understand the rhythm of your body and know that, I'm about to, let me calm down, because, go
in. What's wrong, Zeke?
But it bothers me so much about how closed off and offensive Black men get, right? And some women, when it comes to certain dealings with healing, because there you have to understand social constructs and negative information has been put out so that we don't go to it. And a Black woman actually invented Tantra. One of my gurus was taught Tantra from a Black woman who was born in Kenya but raised in India. So this is very much something that our ancestors practiced. And so again, retaining seed simply means that you could still have an orgasm without wasting or ejaculating sperm. Why? Because every time you ejaculate, it's like losing a pint of blood. It's literally wasting life force. Sperm was meant to produce, a child. Sperm is also used for a lot of metaphysical and if people want to call it magic too. So you have to be mindful about how you are wasting sperm. And again, yes, ejaculation and orgasm are two separate things. And here's another thing. Men, a lot of Black men want to talk about not getting healed in this area, but some of y'all can't even hold y'all erection without pulling out.
Crazy.
Okay, y'all will ejaculate and just be done for the rest of the day. When the woman, we still ready to go. So let's not go there and
okay,
like we all good, please.
Right. So Sister Riziki.
Sister
Riziki. One more thing, Dr. Ma'at. So Sister Riziki, so the Egyptians believe, based on some information that I found, that orgasm is healthy and that it is necessary.
Yes.
And that including the release of sperm in males. But they also believe that the sexual energy currents must be controlled in a deeply esoteric procedure. I think that's what you were talking about.
Yeah.
That is unlike any other system. So so they believe that if this energy is controlled, the human orgasm becomes a source of infinite pranic energy, and that it is not lost. So I think that's kind of like what you were saying. They believe that the entire Merkaba, or what we call light body, the field of energy surrounding and interpenetrating the body, benefits from this sexual release. So yeah, I understand what you.
And
but also the organism leads directly to internal life, and that, you know what I'm saying. So that's kind of like what they believe. Go ahead, sis.
And there's an ancient practice actually called onking.
Right? Yeah, it's called onk. It leads to internal life.
Right. It's literally being in this like this. Some people call it the lotus position, but when you understand that, in that position, you are
cycling on me again.
Yeah, you are recycling energy. And I just want to address, some comments that are going on in the chat room when I talk about activation. Okay, and this is going back to when Dr. Mayat talks about, grown girls or grown boys. Okay. When we talk about activation, there are certain faculties that a man and a woman both have that needs to be brought online to fully function as a husband, as a provider, as a protector, and as a nurturer. This goes for both men and women. And because our ancestors knew the power of sexual energy, you can literally use sexual energy to manifest not only a physical reality as far as certain assets or outcomes, but also certain things that's been lying dormant in your DNA. Okay, remember, we have everything in us already. It's just it hasn't been activated. It's been lying dormant. So again, when you guys really start to do your own research and walk the path instead of selective listening, understand. And I'm not beating y'all up. I just got to keep it real, because sometimes people don't get the message when I'm like, so sometimes I got to be, a little bit, I love y'all, but we got to keep it real. So activation, and this goes for both men and women, because even for women, we have an exercise that activates our G-spot. A lot of women are sexually suppressed. A lot of women are sexually repressed. There have been women over 30 and 40 who's never actually reached an orgasm. that has a lot to do with a woman's self-love. If a woman isn't able to conceive children, if there's certain things going on with her womb, if she's not able to perform, sexually or whatever, that hurts a woman's self-esteem and ego. Like, well, damn, how come all these other women can achieve orgasm, but I can't? And it has to do with us activating certain faculties in us so we can be fulfilled and perform like really as a man and or as a woman. Is there another one area that can see? That's a whole other, maybe we could do a talk on this stuff, because it is important for us to know and to clear up any kind of misconceptions and misinformation that's out there. But go ahead, sis. I'm gonna just leave it at that.
No. I was just thinking about those faculties that you mentioned and how they can be affected with abuse. For example, a woman that has been raped before, a woman, who has been violated or sexually violated, it would affect the faculties. So in turn, like you say, she can't perform. And then if she can perform, then that would affect her love, herself, like, golly, I can't.
Exactly.
Right.
And I'm going to just say this real quick, since we're talking about women. And again, if people aren't familiar with Grand Trine, I would encourage you to look it up, because again, a lot of this information, like, I felt already, but I just didn't have a good way to explain it. But when we deal with the 4 faculties, we're talking about the energy of what we call the moon energy, which is a woman's ability to nurture and being able to give without feeling like she's losing out. Then you have a faculty called the treasure chest, where it's a woman knowing how to utilize her resources and gather resources so that she's able to bring certain things to the table. Then you have the elegant rose, and this is where, the woman is feeling attractive and, she likes positive attention from her man, and she's doing things to incite him and make him constantly want her. And then you have the seated hawk, which is, the woman who's able to sit back, see the vision, give the vision so that the man can now take the steps to fulfill the plan. And there are women, like he was talking about, like rather it be abuse or daddy issues, where there's an emotional disconnect, where they're not nurturing. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's a certain disconnect to where she becomes so dependent on a man, through it being victim or whatever, that she's not able to go out and collect her own resources so she can bring it to the table. I mean, there's just so much in women that, and even me, I don't have all these faculties online. You know what I mean? So it's a constant work, but at least I'm able to recognize this mask that I've built, through experiences and work on bringing these things online. So again, there's tons of ways and exercises to bring that on for the woman, and for the man, I'll get deep into it, but we call it the hunter, the warrior, the eagle, and the healer. So again, that could be another talk, but self-love has a lot to do with even wanting to be this fulfilled and complete man or woman. So,
all right, so get ready to close it out. But I would want to close it out with, again, what does self-love look like? So if each of us can probably say one thing, because I'm pretty sure all of us have a list of things we could say self-love looks like. But what does self-love look like to you, Sister Riziki? And we'll go down Riziki, Kia, Sister Kaba, and then I'll close out.
Well, I think it starts with, like Kia was saying, just the ability to be real with yourself. Like, you gotta love yourself enough to not lie to yourself, because like you just won't be motivated to make any kind of change if there's just certain things you don't want to be honest with yourself about. And doing that builds a lot of character and strength, fearlessness, and just this habit of self-improvement. For me, instead of it being more so of a physical thing, it's for me, it's the energy to know that you are worth being better so that you can attract better and do better.
Excellent. Sister Kia.
Yeah, I agree with Riziki 100%. I think it's always trying to become the better version of yourself each day. I think totally being honest with yourself is a form of self-love. I also believe a form of self-love is understanding and receiving criticism from people that love you and people that may not necessarily know you. I think that's healthy too. First impressions are everything. And when you go out into your workplace or anywhere in society, I think you should also receive criticism from people that you first meet. Ask them what did they think of you the first time that they met you, and just take, that criticism and try to apply it to your life and try to become the better version of yourself each day. And that's what I try to do for myself.
Excellent. Sister Kaba.
Yeah, self-love. Well, when we dealing with self-love, we got to deal with obedience to ourselves and the fidelity to ourselves. Why? Because fidelity means we're going to be loyal to ourselves. That means we're going to go to the hospital. We're going to check on ourselves. We're not going to forget about what's going on with ourselves. We got to love who we are. We can't do it from afar. We need to do it. It's imperative that we deal with that within ourselves. So we got to have a loyalty to make sure that we're accurate in ourselves. We got to have an obedience. We need to do what our body is ordering us to do.
That's
a lot of times people feel like they're hurting, heart's hurting, body hurting. They won't go even get themselves checked about because they're too tired because she done worked all day or she's taking care of the kids. So she become docile, and caught up into the other things that, so she just obeys what her body, if her body is hurting, she just obeys and take the pain. I mean, we got to deal with fidelity and obedience when we're dealing with self-love. And until we can understand that we need to have fidelity and an obedience to ourselves and not become passive and submissive to the things that take us away from loving ourselves, until we do that, we're going to be caught up in self-hate. Peace and love to the family. Definitely,
my sister. And I would just like to say, sisters, I concur with all of the answers that you guys provided on the different forms of self-love. Self-love is, setting high standards, for yourself, moral values, principles, embracing your beauty, embracing who you are. Like you guys said, striving to be better each day, protecting your womb, loving yourself and loving your children enough to give them a good father. I say, Black women, if you want to love your, Black women, well, I love my children. I love my children. Let's stop giving them deadbeat dads. Let's protect our womb and protect, those our unborn, that life potential inside of us, those eggs inside of us, and say, you know what, I'm going to love myself. I love myself and my unborn children enough to protect my womb, to give it to a man that's deserving of it. So with that said, we have to love ourselves, and until we love ourselves, we will not be able to properly love our men, our children, other members in the family, friends, other female comrades. We won't be able to love them. So it all starts with self and having a love for self. So I just want to salute all of the brothers and sisters who joined us today. I saw a lot of comments going back and forth. We will be doing this every Wednesday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Tea Talk with the sisters. You got myself, Dr. Oyamayat. You got Sister Raziki Zafori. You got Sister Kia, Sister Kaba. You can find all of you guys are on Facebook, right? Tell them where to find you guys. Give your website, give your information out where they can find you.
You can find me at Wakesho L on Facebook.
Okay.
That's your Facebook name, sis?
Yeah, Wakesho. That's WASKESHOLEL. The title.
Got you. Hold up. Say that for me one more time, sis. That's
It's WAS. I got it. KEHO. Yes.
Oh, HO.
You ain't got no S between. It's WAKESHO. You ain't got anyway.
Okay. Thank you.
Y'all crazy.
Okay. Y'all can reach me at Rizikil, RIZIKIL, and also my website www.zafira.com, RIZIKIZAFIRA, where y'all can read more about my works, what I do, and how I contribute to humanity. Okay, that's it.
Where can they find you, sis?
They can reach me as on Facebook, Sister Ka, Ka, space Ba, Ba, space Nepti, NEBTI, space Ankh. and that's ANKH in the T, which gives it the feminine principle. I mean, I think we're going to go into all that later on. But yeah, this talk with T is great. I want to appreciate Dr. Ma'at for putting this together. We always have to have great minds, great people to put things together to help us to build and come to conclusions on things that's a matter of a community. That's a matter of our hearts. This sisterhood is definitely necessary. We hope to build on it. I wish that today more sisters would have become engaged in it. But like she said, it's kind of like a vanguard at the beginning. So we kind of, we're going to continue to build on. But we really want strong sisters who really, want to, they're about sisterhood. And like the sister Kia was saying, she formulated and developed a working relationship and a best friendship now with Sister Riziki, and that's what it's about. If you can't be a friend to your sister because all you do is see her and you want to spite her because you're intimidated by whatever it may be. See, we really didn't go in on this show. So y'all make sure y'all tune in on the next show.
Oh, yeah. Because we got a story about jealousy.
We got our story. We got our story.
Yeah. So we coming in. We're going to come in and we're going to, let everybody know what it is. And hopefully the sisters can join.
Absolutely.
Mr. Cobb, are you there? I think the sister might have fell off again, but she's right. I mean, we didn't even cover as much as we could have covered on this topic of self-love. We just kind of scratched the surface, but we can continue this conversation. But I want to thank everybody for joining us. I'd like to thank the panel of sisters who are here, Sister Riziki, Sister Kaba, Sister Kia. If you guys want to contact me, my name is Dr. Oya Mayat. You can contact me on Facebook, Dr.-Oya Mayat, or you can contact me via email at dr.mayat.msu@gmail.com. Peace and Black Power.